Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just back in with another sequence video. This one is in Isaiah 17. And I would say it's lightly encoded, but also very fascinating how it uses language in other parts of the Bible, reaffirming, certain concepts, and in particular about the two witnesses. And it's amazing, to me, every time that I find a new one of these. And, it's just fascinating. The language is consistent with all the people of the Bible. And then it shows that there's one God, in one narrative. And it's being, replayed, in the last days. Isaiah 17, verse 3 to 5 have coded references for salvation. They shall be as the glory of the children of Israel, saith the Lord of hosts. And so this is the elect taking on the incorruptible from the corruptible. Okay, verse 4, and in that day it shall come to pass that the glory of Jacob shall be made thin, and the fatness of his flesh shall wax lean. And so in the last days, this is talking about, again, putting on an incorruptible body, and it's a coded reference talking about the glory of Jacob. Okay, and that's in verse 4. Okay, 4:14, 144, oftentimes reference Christ's elect. Verse 5, and it shall be as when the harvestman gathereth the corn and reapeth the ears with his arm. Those who have an ear, let him hear. Okay, this is the group that was sealed. And it shall be as he that gathereth ears. Okay, and so the harvestman is Christ, with his angels, and he's going to be accompanied by the two witnesses. And we're going to get a reference to that here. So 3, 4, and 5 are references to salvation. Okay, check. That's the first thing. Now, verse 6, this is the amazing part about the two witnesses. Yet gleaning grapes shall be left in it. Okay, they're going to be in the quote-unquote harlot's house. Okay, in other sequence videos that I've done. As the shaking of an olive tree. So now we have a reference to an olive tree. And listen to this, 2 or 3 berries. 2 olive trees. Okay. In the top of the uppermost bough. Okay. And what's that word bough mean? B-O-U-G-H. It's the main branch of a tree. Okay. And so these are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. And that's what we get. The precept for that is in Revelation 11:4. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. And the precept for that, to go even deeper, is Zechariah 4:11. And this is in Revelation 11:4. Okay. And so the time that the elect are taken away, or the time that the 2 witnesses are going to be brought here. And that's why it's in 11:4, 44. Okay. And so, but just know that here it says these are the 2 olive trees. Okay. 2 olive trees. And these 2 candlesticks, I've done a lesson recently, are referring to these UFOs and then the beam that shoots down the middle of them. Okay. And so again, we have a reference here, olive tree and then 2. Okay, 2 olive trees here in verse 6. And it's important to note that's in verse 6 because they're going to be administering the plagues. Okay. That's why it says shaking of an olive tree. They're going to shake the earth, literally. Okay, with their presence and their plagues. Let me read this verse again. Yet gleaning grapes shall be left in it, as the shaking of an olive tree, 2 or 3 berries in the top of the uppermost bough. The top of the tree. It's Christ with his 2 witnesses. Okay. 4 or 5 in the outermost fruitful branches thereof, saith the Lord God of Israel. Okay. So after that time of the 2 witnesses, the 1260-day period, we have Christ returning with his elect, to destroy his entire left-hand side that are going to be on the earth. Verse 7, at that day shall a man look to his maker, and his eyes shall have respect to the Holy One of Israel. So he's returning with his elect. That's why it's in verse 7. Isaiah 17:7, 14. Okay. Or if you add those 2 numbers, 17 plus 7 is what? 24, 44. So there's a story, even in the numbers. It's amazing. Let me read Isaiah 17:7 again. At that day shall a man look to his maker, and his eyes shall have respect to the Holy One of Israel. Okay, verse 8. This is what they're going to be doing. And he shall not look to the altars, the work of his hands, neither shall respect that which his fingers have made, either the groves or the images. Okay. So they're just going to be destroying everything. And the images is a code reference to the image of the beast. Okay. That's in Isaiah 17:8. Okay. And so this is, again, destruction. Okay. And it's amazing. Okay. For numerology people, 17:8, what is 8:8:16? Okay. Talking about destruction. Okay. Of the God's left-hand side. Okay. Verse 9, in that day shall his strong cities be as a forsaken bow and an uppermost branch. Okay. Which they have left because of the children of Israel. And listen to this, and there shall be desolation. 17:9, 26, 66. Okay. Just destroying everybody, everything on God's left-hand side. And what's the precept for that? Where it says here, in that day shall his strong cities be as a forsaken bow and uppermost branch. Okay. And then it talks about desolation. Precept for that is Isaiah 10:19. Okay. And so, this is amazing that, again, the Bible is using the same language everywhere. Okay. Where it says in Isaiah 10:19, and the rest of the trees of his forest shall be few, that a child may write them down. Okay. And so God's ambition is to destroy the very earth, that he's created. Okay. And he's going to destroy them that destroy the earth. And so, just know that. And so that's reaffirmed to us, in Isaiah 17:9. Okay. That, is consistent with what I just read in Isaiah. Okay. 10:19. Isaiah 17:12. Now, woe to the multitude of many people, okay, which make a noise like the noise of the seas, and to the rushing of nations that make a rushing like the rushing of mighty waters. Okay, and so now this is a reference to 2 Ezra 13:34. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together as thou sawest them, willing to come and to overcome him by fighting. That's in 34:444 FFF 666. Okay, and so this same language here. Woe to the multitude, okay? And so woe is destruction, okay? Isaiah 17:12-29, okay? 2 9s 18 666, okay? And so this is Christ returning with his elect, to destroy. And they're going to literally be like a rushing of mighty waters. They're going to have the gall to fight against God, okay? And it's amazing. Verse 13, the nation shall rush like the rushing of many waters, but God shall rebuke them, and they shall flee far off, and shall be chased as the chaff of the mountains before the wind, and like a rolling thing before the whirlwind. Okay, and so that whirlwind is a reference to Isaiah 66:15. Okay, and so again, the Bible is saying the same thing. It's looping it over and over again. Okay, so we make sure we understand Isaiah 66:15. For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. This is real fire that God is planning to touch the earth, the people, and then the trees and everything, the mountains, everything. Let me read verse 13 again. The nations shall rush like the rushing of many waters, but God shall rebuke them, and they shall flee far off, and shall be chased as the chaff of the mountains before the wind. This wind is in the sky with these so-called UFOs. That's how they move. Okay, they're spiritual. Okay, they don't need diesel. Okay, or like oil or gas or anything like that. And like a rolling thing before the whirlwind. Okay, like I just read in Isaiah 66:15. Verse 14, and this is in 14 to remind us that it's with God's elect. Okay, and behold, at eventide trouble, and behold, the morning he is not. This is the portion of them that spoil us, and the lot of them that rob us. And so this is the quote-unquote retribution. Okay, God is destroying his entire left-hand side, and they've all been a part of the deception and evil, okay, against God's elect. Zephaniah 1:18, 18:666. Okay, neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath, but the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. The land itself, listen to this, for he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. So the land itself is going to get devoured by the fire, and all them who dwell in the land. Okay, body and soul is going to be destroyed. Death and hell are going to be cast into a lake of fire. What's death? It's the body, and hell is the earth. Okay, and so all the prophets and everybody in the Bible are saying the same thing, and it's being looped over and over again. And then found another example of that here in Isaiah 17. And so everybody's saying the same thing. Okay, and so this is absolutely incredible, just how the language in the Bible is consistent from one prophet to the next. In the last days, we're repeating the same thing, and it's an amazing thing that, we know this, okay, the elect have been sealed. So Isaiah 17 talks about salvation, makes a coded reference to 2 olive trees, the 2 witnesses, shaking the earth, okay. Then we have explicit references to Christ returning with his elect to bring fire on earth, okay. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.